Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football, welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all of you are doing well today. It's preview time and look at what preview it's for. Chelsea are playing in a quarter-final. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to enjoy this occasion, this preview. I mean, because we don't know what we're going to get in the watch-along, we don't know what we're going to get in the review. This preview though, Chelsea in a quarter-final of a competition, I'm going to enjoy this. Because I don't know when the next one's coming at this point. Let's be honest. We don't know. Is it going to be maybe later on this season in the FA Cup? I would say that's doubtful, but you never know. Can it be next season? It's not looking like it's heading that way if we're honest, but you never know. But there's no certainty. Before, I'd be like, yeah, quarter-final, straightforward, easy. Yeah, nowadays, very, very scarce. We don't know when they're coming. So I'm going to enjoy this preview. And I hope you do too. So enjoy it. And in order to catch more as it drops on here, make sure that you are hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified once I have uploaded. Do not forget, tomorrow is watch long day. So we will be watching the game together. Chelsea versus Newcastle at Stamford Bridge. Late night kickoff. Carabao Cup quarter-final. Going to be interesting. We'll see how it all goes. Now, make sure you're on the watch long tomorrow and the review straight after the game. We're going to kick off with some news. I wanted to get 2 videos out today, but I couldn't. So I am going to condense the 2 because there's a lot of news today and there's things that need to be spoken about, man, because I feel like there are some people that still don't get it. Yeah, they don't understand. And it's so easy to understand. So I'm going to explain it, right? We're going to discuss that and then we'll jump more towards the preview. I've got a nice little transition to go through and then we will jump into the starting 11 and everything as we normally do for the preview. So starting off, first thing this morning, what happened? It kicked off. Why? Because we got news about, none other, Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher, let's dive right straight into it. Here's what came out earlier this morning. Check this out. Simon Johnson coming out saying Chelsea are prepared to listen to bids for Conor Gallagher in January. I've said this. Chelsea will be selling Conor Gallagher. It could not be more clear. He is pure profit. They are going to sell him because of that. Now, the problem is the people that cannot differentiate what myself and I've seen some others say, right? Conor Gallagher, for the ones that are going, yeah, no, if we sell Conor Gallagher, fantastic, we'll get rid of him, yeah? I said that about Mason Mount. I remember when I did. But there's a difference. At that time, I was under the impression that that money would be used and we would get in instant upgrades. Yeah, instant upgrades. Mount's gone, Havertz is gone, all the players that we got rid of, yeah, all gone, fine. We've generated a lot of money, we've cleared a lot of players, we had a massive squad, right? Are we going to use that to now get upgrades? Here we are in December, sitting 10th, we were 12th before this, still hovering in the same position, and it doesn't look like we've upgraded anywhere. That's my problem now. So when I look at Conor Gallagher, I am saying, actually, I'll take that back. I'm not saying Conor Gallagher is, oh my God, no, Chelsea must absolutely keep him by all means necessary. If not, we are going to die. But what I am saying is, he isn't Chelsea level when we have Chelsea level. When we're talking about what is really Chelsea level, and hence why I'm screaming for us to go and get some Chelsea level, some proper experience, some pedigree that can come in and immediately impose themselves as a spine, because we are lacking a spine, right? Players that are immediately going to come in with expertise, pedigree that can set an example. That's what I'm talking about when I say Chelsea level, like we've had in the past. Does Gallagher get into a Chelsea team when Lampard, Essien and Ballack are in the midfield? No chance. He would be on the bench at best. That's my point. But we don't have that. We don't have that. Conor Gallagher is currently Chelsea's most informed midfielder. It's crazy. Because there's Enzo, and there's Caicedo, and we have all these guys, right? Gallagher is our most informed midfielder. That's the point. So, if we're looking to sell him in January, the analogy that I want to use is like, imagine I've fallen off a cliff. I've fallen off a cliff and I'm being held by a string, by a thin string, right? I'm waiting for a rope to be chucked out to me so that I can be brought back up. Am I going to cut the string or am I going to hold on to the string? I'm going to hold on to the string, because if I cut the string, you best believe I'm not going to make it, right? Gallagher is that little bit of string that we've got, at least, yeah, at least. And we're going to cut it. My fear is that we will generate this money, and what are we going to do with this money? Because historically what it's told us is we are not actually going to go and get experience in terms of making massive upgrades right now for what the team desperately needs. I am scared that we will take that 40, 45 million, whatever might come our way, and we'll probably go and get 2 17 or 18-year-olds. That's what I'm scared of. And if that's the case, I'd rather keep Gallagher. That's what I'm scared of. So this is the point. This is why, on top of that, Poch clearly wants to keep Gallagher. Now this backs up my point even further on why I believe Poch is going to get sacked. It's a matter of time. Poch is getting the chop, and he was always a yes man. He was always someone that was just going to come in and comply. If he wasn't a yes man, he would be kicking up an absolute raucous right now, because Gallagher is one of his captains. He'd be going mental. Doesn't look like he is. Looks like he takes it on the chin. But this is the point. What needs to change is the people in charge needs to start looking at getting a manager that is competent, that they can trust, that knows exactly what they're going to do and holds certain levels of standard, certain levels of requirements, and demands them, knowing that he has an opinion, they're going to listen and acknowledge his opinion and take it on board. Right now, with this whole Gallagher thing, it's an example of the people in charge looking at Poch going, thanks, but no thanks. You want to keep Gallagher? Sorry, mate, we don't care. He's going out the door because of pure profit. That's the message that's being sent. So it's not about keeping Gallagher at the football club, keeping Pochettino at the football club. It's to symbolise what is going on at this football club. It's showing you what is going on. The fact that we have to even think about relying on a Gallagher because it's all we have shows us where we are. The fact that we even have to think about, oh my God, look, Pochettino, like this is getting undermined, even though it's clear, and this is set, that he is just taking it on the chin and he's a yes man, shows you where we are. This is my point. That's my point. It's not about Gallagher or Pochettino. It's about what are we doing? That's my point. So I hope that's brought a little bit of understanding to the situation, because it's absolute. It's a farce. It's an absolute farce. Like I said, Gallagher will be leaving. I'm pretty sure, right? I'm pretty sure. And like I said, I'm scared what we'll do afterwards. Or if we won't do anything afterwards, we'll just go ahead with what we've got right now. And we've taken at least a little bit of that little bit of he's a player that I know I can at least rely on in terms of just going and leaving every single blood, sweat and tear on the pitch. Yeah, I can rely on Gallagher for that at least. Because best believe, technically, no one's delivering. And we're even complaining about some players and maybe lack of effort and all of that. But with Gallagher, you know you're getting some at least, you know? So we're going to take that out. Pochettino doesn't really have a say. He's got an input. His input doesn't matter. It's in the bin. So it goes to show that we've brought another manager that they just want someone to just comply. So what are we doing? We'll get rid of Poch and we'll go and get another yes man. That's what's going to happen. So that's the point I want to emphasize on. The key takeaways from this is we need an elite manager who is going to come in and set levels, and the owners and the people in charge need to back off. At the same time, we need players that are going to come in and set the tone right now. The experience and the pedigree that the team is severely lacking. So we don't have to rely on a player like Gallagher. That's my point. So I hope people understand. Now, we keep moving because there was other things that happened today as well. Breaking, Chelsea will not let Madueke to leave on loan in January. Of course they won't. Profits. He signed what? Was it an 8-year deal? I swear he signed 8 years, at minimum 7 years, but I'm pretty sure, I think he signed 8 years. Madueke was bought for, how much? 30 million? Do you know what? I'm going to look this up. Madueke was bought for £28.5 million on a 7.5-year contract, right? If we do 28.5 divided by 7.5, that's 3.8 million pounds a year being spread across the books. He gets sold after his first year at the club for 20 mil at least. Well, there you go. We've made 17 million profit. That's how it's going to work on the books. That's if he was sold for 20. Even if he gets sold for 10 million, we've made 7 million on, 6.2 million pound profit on the books. Do you see the point? So he'll go out the door. And then you think, well, why did we get him in the first place then? What are we doing? Profit's profit. Profit's profit. So he will go. He won't be going out on loan. You know what? I've said, and I stick to this, I think Madueke is a player like Hudson-Odoi. Seems like that he doesn't have that ability to be able to come up with something constructive in the final third, or his final decision, his final shot, his final pass. It's lacking. I think a loan move would be good for him at his age. Definitely send him on loan. See how he does. No, we're going to sell him. So there's that. No, it's not a surprise. It's not a surprise. And David Ornstein goes into the detail here. Chelsea have no intention of loaning Noni Madueke in January. Same for any other established first-team squad members. Temporary exits will only be considered for emerging players in need of senior experience that might not come at Chelsea yet. And The Athletic. So there we are. We're not even thinking about any loan deals for any players that are part of the first-team squad. No. Maybe the ones that don't have any room coming into the squad at the moment, they'll be sent out on loan. But anyone that's in the squad, if you're not in the squad, you're getting sold. Simple as that. So there's that. So that's the latest on Madueke. Let me know your thoughts on that. Would you let him go or would you not? I'd love to hear your opinions. Now, there was a big fuss today about Lewis Hall. Yeah. Apparently, I'm gonna mention what was said earlier. Chelsea had apparently given permission to Newcastle for Lewis Hall to play. And then there was a theory that came out because Newcastle apparently are not so sure in terms of signing Lewis Hall permanently. Then there was a rumour coming out saying that apparently it's based on the amount of appearances that he makes. And because of that, Chelsea have allowed Lewis Hall to play, so then he has the chance of tallying up his appearances, so then he gets sold at the end of the season permanently. Whereas Newcastle are not sure, and if they don't play, then they won't have to trigger the obligation to buy at the end of the season. That was a big rumour. A rumour that got dismissed, and apparently it's not true. And I'm going to show you exactly what has happened, so let's get right into it. Let's check this these sequence of events. Here it is. Nizar Kinsella, firstly. Chelsea granted permission to Newcastle for them to use Lewis Hall tomorrow night. Remember that. That came out earlier on. Okay. Then we got, I'm going to show you in chronological order. Felix Johnston came out and confirmed what Matt Law came out and said, saying that no, it's not to do with appearances, apparently. That's not the clause. So what is? Felix Johnston. As reported by Matt Lord just now, Lewis Hall's obligation to buy to Newcastle has no clause for appearances. There is only one clause in the contract, and it is related to where Newcastle finish in the league, of which there is no concern that they will finish above this position. Right? So we've established that now. Okay? Felix goes on to say this. Newcastle would have to finish lower than Chelsea did last season for the loan move not to be made permanent. So basically, it's impossible. Therefore, he will be going permanently. So we've established that, right? We've established it. He's definitely going permanently now. There's no chance Lewis Hall comes back to Chelsea. The obligation is in place unless Newcastle somehow capitulated for the rest of the season and finished below Chelsea. Yeah? Okay. Well, Ben Jacobs then comes out with this. Lewis Hall is eligible to play against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. Nothing Chelsea could do to block him since tournament rules different to the Premier League. But they did give written permission. There is almost no chance Hall won't join Newcastle this summer. Newcastle say the clause is performance-related, but not appearance-based. Right? So there's that. Let's remember that. Like Ben Jacobs has just said here, Chelsea gave written permission. They say that Chelsea couldn't do anything to block him from not appearing for Newcastle tomorrow, though. But we had Nizar Kinsella earlier on with this. Chelsea granted permission to Newcastle for them to use Lewis Hall tomorrow night. So could he play or not? I'd like to think he is still on loan from Chelsea right now. The obligation hasn't been triggered yet. It will be, but it hasn't been yet. Therefore, he is still technically down as a loanee, which means that Chelsea do have the courtesy to go, no, he's not going to play against his parent club. No. And I'd like to think that's the case. If not, why would they write permission to Newcastle to allow him to play? Which, by the way, I think is insane. Have you seen the injuries that Newcastle have? Joe Linton got injured against Fulham. Fabian Schär got injured against Fulham. Botman has just come back and probably will be forced to play 90 minutes. Dan Burn will probably have to shift over. So who have they got at left back? And if we're talking about left midfield, if Joe Linton's not going to be playing there, well, enter Lewis Hall. Because Lewis Hall came on against Fulham and he came on in place of Anthony Gordon, whilst Fabian Schär, Joe Linton, these guys had already picked up injuries. So you best believe that he will be looking to come on to replace one of them. Whether it's a left back or whether he comes into midfield. They've got a big amount of injuries. Tomorrow they're playing against us and we write permission to them saying, you're allowed to play Lewis Hall. What are we doing? And I also want to say this. If Chelsea actually don't have any control over this or any power, should we say, to tell Newcastle, no, you can't play him or you can play him, right? If we don't have, then what are we doing even thinking about writing permission then? Why are we wasting our time? What's the point? So it doesn't compute. It does not compute. I personally think that Lewis Hall can play tomorrow. That Lewis Hall, if we had said he's not playing, wouldn't play tomorrow, and we've just given permission to Newcastle to use Lewis Hall, no problem, against us in a quarter-final when they have injuries. It doesn't make sense. It does not make any footballing sense whatsoever, that. Bonkers. You best pray Lewis Hall doesn't score against us tomorrow or something crazy. If he scores or he gets the winner or something, I'm kicking off. If that happens, it's going to be curtains for everybody. It better not happen. Unbelievable. But that's what's happened today in terms of news. So you can see why I would have liked to get an entire video out of that. But that's the transition for this game against Newcastle. They've got a lot of injuries. Lewis Hall's definitely going to be playing. We've given them permission. As for Chelsea, Nkunku is available. He will be on the bench, and apparently he's going to play nothing more than 20 minutes. That's what Pochettino said in the press conference earlier on today. On top of that, Madueke has returned to full training. There is a whole debate as to whether he's going to play or not. Personally, I wouldn't. In terms of the wings right now, for a cup competition, quarter-final like this, to just stick him in straight away without even giving him some minutes, no. When we've got Cole Palmer and we've got Sterling, I wouldn't do it. If Chelsea find themselves in a comfortable situation later on and we can bring him on, then okay. But that's a story that we'll find out during the game. Aside from that, Lavia is in partial training. And the rest of the injury list is basically the same. Cucurella is out, we know this. So it's a question of who are going to come in. Gusto has returned. He's in full team training, so I fully expect him to be playing at right back tomorrow and beyond, because Reece James is out for the season now, it seems like. We're still yet to hear about Reece James and his injury. If he's getting surgery or not, that's meant to come out today, so we will find out, I think. But apart from that, everything stands the same. So let's get into the starting 11, and then we'll get into predictions and see how I think it's all going to go down. So let's check this out. So here's the starting 11 off the bat, just for time purposes, so we're not left hanging and this video doesn't go on for too long. Petrovic in goal, Gusto at right back. Personally, Maatsen at left back, but we know it's probably going to be Levi Colwill. So there's that. Thiago Silva and Badiashile for me as the two central defenders. Some people are calling for Thiago Silva to get dropped. Look, I understand he's 39, but the fact that we can't even use him consecutively consecutively once, so we can play 2 games in the space of 3 days. It's like a war crime. If it's even suggested. No, he can do it. He can do it. And then maybe the weekend he doesn't play. Premier League's in the mud anyway. This should be a priority. It's a cup competition. We're in the quarterfinal. What are we doing? So for me, Thiago Silva plays. His experience comes in handy here. So Thiago Silva alongside Badiashile, absolutely fine there. Midfield, Enzo and Caicedo, because I think it's got to be. There isn't really anyone else that we can turn to. I expect them to put in good performances. I hope they put in good performances. I don't want to see any slacking. We've seen Caicedo look a little slacky this season. Same goes for Enzo. There was a good moment in terms of Sheffield United where we saw Caicedo have a couple of good moments. Enzo came on and looked fairly comfortable. We had the game wrapped up. So I hope they have control. Newcastle's not an easy midfield to play against. Let's be honest. So there's that. Conor Gallagher ahead of him, without question. For that reason, Palmer on the right-hand side, Sterling on the left, and yes, Nicholas Jackson up top. Also for the same reason that there's not really much else that we can rely on. He scores tap-ins at least. So, you know what? Unlike Broja missed from 2 yards out. I couldn't believe that. When I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, okay. My mind is blown. My mind is blown. I admire that Broja physically, I think, is more demanding. But look, if we're going to pick a striker, it's going to be Nicholas Jackson. It's not going to be anyone else. So, that's a starting 11 for me. Do you agree or disagree with it? Let me know. But that is my starting 11. And if we get into a score prediction, as I tell you guys to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified once I've uploaded. Make sure you're there for the watch along tomorrow, as well as the review straight after the game. This one's a tough one. People are honestly still using the excuse of, Newcastle have all the injuries, we're going to be fine. Yeah, like they didn't beat us 4-1 when they had all those injuries as well. You know, I am not talking about injuries to anyone ever again. Yeah, it's as simple as that. We've got injuries, they've got injuries, I couldn't care less. But the fact that they've got injuries and they still whacked us 4-1 on that day, it's not a viable excuse. It's as simple as that. So Newcastle will come strong. They'll come up for it. They'll come with a point to prove. Why? Because they played the final of this competition last year. They were that close to winning it and they didn't. And they can get a piece of silverware for the first time in 55 or 60 years or something like that. It would be monumental. So they're chucked out the Champions League. They're going to try and play this. They're going to try and go all out. You best believe they're going to show up. I feel like they have more motivation than us. Which is why I am honestly thinking, I think that at home, on the night, the fans, I think there will be an atmosphere and I think that will help Chelsea, I'll be honest. So I think it cancels itself out and I think it will finish 1-1. And there's no extra time, if I'm not mistaken, in this competition. There's no second leg. So I think it goes to penalties. And on penalties, I think Newcastle win it. So I hope I'm wrong. But let's wait and see what happens. Let me know yours in the comment section below. Be as honest as you can. And each way, whether you think Chelsea are going to absolutely trounce Newcastle tomorrow, let me know. Much appreciated. And if you think Newcastle are going to win, let me know. Much appreciated. And we will see each other on the watch along tomorrow. So thank you all so much, people. Make sure you're here for that. And I'll see you then. Have a good night. See you tomorrow, people. Take care and peace.